Welcome back. What if a sudden regional conflict erupted tonight, forcing the nation to strike back? Hundreds of drone swarms darken the vast desert sky, striking American outposts in a massive wave. Global markets crash instantly as the vital Strait of Hormuz is blocked by deadly naval mines. The president faces a grim choice: step back and lose power, or deploy forces and risk a world war. But there is a third option available: a surgical, invisible strike from the shadows. Let's look. At 0200 hours local time, Proxy forces launch a coordinated, ruthless offensive. Swarm technology overwhelms base defenses across Iraq, bringing absolute chaos to the dark night. Command centers report multiple fallen heroes as heavily armed aerial drones strike their targets. Simultaneously, rusted naval mines are silently deployed into the dark waters of the Persian Gulf. This crucial choke point handles 20% of global oil, making it a critical strategic vein. In Washington, the commander is abruptly awakened to face an unprecedented global crisis. Entering the Oval Office, he finds the room suffocating under the heavy weight of tragic news. Intelligence confirms that Proxy militias orchestrated this massive, multi-front nocturnal assault. The devastating losses are mounting rapidly, and the global public demands immediate answers now. However, military advisors warn against a hasty, emotional response to the sudden chaos. A full-scale ground invasion would undoubtedly drag the nation into a catastrophic global war. The haunting ghosts of previous Middle Eastern conflicts shadow every single decision made tonight. If the United States does nothing, its vital credibility as a global superpower will fall. Allies would lose faith entirely, and adversaries would boldly expand their aggressive operations. The Oval Office becomes a pressure cooker of conflicting strategies and grimly dark predictions. According to historical data, proxy wars are designed to slowly drain a vast enemy's resources. The Revolutionary Guard masterfully uses these shadow militias to maintain deniability. They strike from the shadows, draining American forces without triggering an open global conflict. The president stares at the tactical map, realizing that conventional warfare is now obsolete. Generals present different options, but each one carries an incredibly high and tragic human cost. He must find a strategic way to break their military spine without occupying foreign territory. A quiet consensus finally forms. The retaliation must be overwhelmingly swift and devastating. Any hesitation right now will only invite further devastating attacks on vulnerable bases. The Supreme Commander of the Proxy Forces watches the burning horizon with dark satisfaction. Hidden deep within an underground bunker, he believes the massive superpower is too afraid to fight. He calculates that the American public will never tolerate another endless troop deployment. His strategy relies entirely on exhausting their political will through constant attrition. Meanwhile, emergency medical teams scramble to treat the wounded soldiers under heavy enemy fire. The scent of burning fuel and shattered concrete fills the hot desert air as sirens wail loudly now. Every casualty report delivered to the White House increases the urgent demand for rapid justice. The crucial clock is ticking, and the window for a measured, strategic response is closing very fast. If you were the commander-in-chief, would you authorize a strike, knowing the truly terrible risks? Would you protect your troops today, if it meant plunging the entire world into a much darker tomorrow. These are the agonizing questions that define true leadership in the modern age of proxy warfare. The agonizing debate finally ends. The resolute decision has been made, and the orders are transmitted. By morning, the true economic devastation of the blocked maritime strait becomes painfully apparent. Global markets erupt into absolute panic as international oil prices skyrocket to unseen highs. Traders shout frantically across the exchange floor, watching trillions of dollars vanish instantly. The disruption of energy supplies threatens to paralyze the entire global transportation network. Inside the Pentagon, brilliant military strategists gather around glowing electronic battle maps. They face intense domestic pressure to unleash a massive and highly visible, swift retaliation. Protesters flood the streets of Washington, deeply divided between demanding peace and seeking revenge. However, the Central Command firmly rejects any scenario involving boots on the hostile ground. Invading would exactly play into the enemy's hands, initiating a tragic war of attrition. The strategists know they must re-establish deterrence without repeating the dark mistakes of the past. Their solution is an intricate ballet of advanced technology and truly terrifying precision. They will execute a surgical operation, systematically dismantling the enemy's capabilities. The objective is clear: destroy the hardware, blind their defense, and cripple their communications network. This strategy minimizes American casualties while sending an undeniably powerful message. The president, visibly exhausted, reviews the final targeting packages in the quiet situation room. He authorizes the strikes, knowing that history will judge this pivotal moment with brutal honesty. Across the globe, the gears of the world's most sophisticated military machine begin to turn smoothly. Nuclear-powered submarines glide silently through the deep, dark ocean, moving into launch positions. Guided missile destroyers adjust their coordinates, preparing their deadly vertical launch systems. Far away at secret air bases, stealth bombers are fueled and loaded with precision-guided munitions. This operation relies entirely on the element of a major surprise and pure technology. The tension inside the Pentagon command center is palpable as the final countdown officially begins. Commanders watch the digital diorama, tracing the projected paths of hundreds of deadly missiles. Every single target has been meticulously chosen to maximize impact while minimizing civilian harm. The world remains completely unaware of the massive storm of steel that is about to be unleashed. On the enemy's side, radar operators monitor their screens, completely confident in their secure bunkers. They believe their deep underground fortresses are totally immune to any conventional airstrike. They critically underestimate the terrifying evolution of modern long-range precision weaponry. In the depths of the ocean, the submarine commander receives the final, encrypted launch authorization. The crew moves with practiced mechanical efficiency, locking the coordinates into the firing system. Red tactical lights bathe the control room as the final safety protocols are swiftly disengaged. A heavy silence falls over the crew, a momentary pause before the awesome force is fully unleashed. There is no glory here, only the cold, calculated execution of a highly complex military math. At exactly 0400 hours, the supreme order is finally given to all active units. The surgical strike, a terrifying demonstration of American technological might, officially begins. From beneath the dark waves, Tomahawk cruise missiles breach the surface in a massive eruption of fire. They arc gracefully into the night sky, completely invisible to outdated enemy tracking systems. Hundreds of these lethal projectiles fly low over the desert, hugging the terrain to avoid detection. The first phase of the operation is known as blinding. Its goal is to completely destroy enemy radar. At the same time, central communication hubs are destroyed, cutting off their command in mere seconds. Inside the enemy bunkers, radar screens suddenly flicker and die, plunging operators into total panic. Before they can even sound the alarm, precise kinetic impacts shatter their reinforced concrete roofs. The explosions are pinpoint accurate, destroying the military hardware while leaving nearby cities intact. With the enemy now completely deaf and blind, the second phase of the terrifying assault commences. High above the chaos, stealthy bombers glide silently like dark, predatory birds in the night sky. Pilots execute their deadly missions with terrifying calmness, safely protected by advanced stealth armor. Their payload bays open, releasing massive bunker-busting bombs directly towards the coastal naval ports. Drone manufacturing factories, once thought completely safe, are instantly vaporized by heavy strikes. According to defense analysts, this is the most precise demonstration of firepower in human history. The massive power is calculated to maximize mental terror and absolute physical devastation. Back in Washington, the president watches the live satellite feeds with a grim, unflinching expression. The glowing map in the Situation Room rapidly updates as enemy targets are systematically erased. There is no cheering among the generals. They understand the grave magnitude of what they have just done. They have successfully shattered the opponent's immediate capability to wage a conventional war. In less than an hour, decades of military infrastructure have been reduced to burning, smoking rubble. However, as the dust begins to settle over the devastated landscape, a chilling realization sets in. Did this massive display of surgical force truly solve the underlying geopolitical conflict? While the physical hardware is gone, the deep-rooted ideology that fuels the proxy fighters remains alive. The proxy network, operating in the shadows, does not rely on expensive jets or advanced radar systems. By striking back so fiercely, the superpower has effectively tied itself to the region once again. The brilliant sun rises over the smoldering ruins of the once formidable underground military bunkers. Within 72 hours, the determined enemy's conventional warfighting capacity is crippled. The Pentagon has successfully delivered a brutal message of absolute technological dominance. Defense analysts reviewing satellite imagery confirm the total destruction of the primary targets. Naval ports that once harbored fast attack vessels are now reduced to twisted, burning metal and ash. The strategy of precision strikes without deploying any ground troops seems like a clear and total victory. In Washington, the president addresses the nation, declaring the immediate threat successfully neutralized. Global financial markets slowly begin to stabilize as the vital strait is finally completely cleared. But deep beneath the concrete rubble, the supreme commander of the Revolutionary Guard survives. Covered in gray dust, he stands defiant, knowing his true weapon was never the military hardware. His network of loyal proxy fighters remains deeply embedded across the vast, chaotic desert wasteland. They do not need million-dollar radar systems or expensive stealth technology to wage their hidden war. Armed with cheap drones and absolute ideological devotion, they simply fade back into the dark shadows. The United States has successfully redrawn the geopolitical red lines with overwhelming and mighty fire. However, they recognize a bitter truth as the tactical maps are updated in the busy command center. By choosing to intervene, they have effectively chained themselves to this highly volatile, dangerous region. Every destroyed missile battery will inevitably be replaced by a new, decentralized, and hidden threat. The superpower desperately wanted to pivot away from these endless Middle Eastern conflicts and wars. Instead, they find their valuable assets locked in a terrifying cycle of violent and rapid escalation. Military historians argue that surgical strikes offer only a temporary illusion of lasting peace. While precision weapons win the immediate battle, they fundamentally fail to win the longer, hidden war. The enemy adapts quickly, moving their operations deeper underground to avoid further devastating attacks. The American public, initially relieved by the show of strength, grows weary of the constant tension. Maintaining a massive naval presence in the hostile Gulf requires billions of hard-earned taxpayer dollars. Commanders on the ground must remain in a state of constant, exhausting high alert every single night. The strategy of deterrence demands an unwavering commitment that drains the nation's political will. In the long term, proxy warfare is specifically designed to exploit this exact structural vulnerability. The adversary is perfectly willing to endure massive physical losses to achieve their sacred goals. They measure their success not by battles won, but by how long they can slowly bleed the massive superpower. As the thick smoke clears from the battlefield, the harsh reality of modern conflict clearly emerges now. There are no decisive victories anymore, only complex management of permanent, ongoing crises. The digital diorama in the Pentagon highlights the newly fortified proxy defense positions. Leaders realize that technology alone cannot solve the deep historical grievances of the volatile region. The brilliant surgical strike was executed perfectly, yet the strategic dilemma remains totally unresolved. They are trapped in a deadly game of chess where the ruthless opponent constantly changes the basic rules. Every action by the military provokes an asymmetrical reaction from the hidden shadow militias. The president gazes at the resolute desk, understanding the heavy burden of this brutal, endless cycle. Tomorrow will inevitably bring new threats, new intelligence reports, and incredibly agonizing decisions. The shadow war of the future will be bitterly fought, far away from the traditional open front lines. It is a grueling battle of endurance, designed to test the absolute limits of a mighty empire's strength. The tactical sand table remains illuminated, waiting for the next inevitable move in this dark shadow war. Conventional bombs and missiles take several exhausting days to dismantle regional infrastructure. But there is a nightmare weapon scenario that could end everything in just a tiny fraction of a second. Imagine the entire Middle East being instantly thrown back into the dark and totally brutal Stone Age. A single blinding flash of light that would permanently alter the entire course of human civilization. We will explore that terrifying possibility and its devastating consequences in our next episode. The line between a surgical intervention and absolute nuclear devastation is dangerously thin. Do you think relying on surgical strikes is a sign of ultimate strength, or is it a hidden weakness? Would you order this attack if it trapped you in endless conflict? Please tell us your honest thoughts below. Don't forget to please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more analysis.